So our next speaker, I think you all know him from the YouTube channel, is that guy over there, Anthony. He's been around for a number of years now, and he's doing Fearless Fridays for the most part. He's killing it. He's doing a lot of approach videos and techniques on approaching because he loves approaching so much and he's so good at it. He's the guy that went out and got 5 instant dates in one day because with no money and just broke and hanging out at the beach and said, you know what, I'm going to quit my job, have no money and approach girls because if I'm going to be broke, I might as well have some fun. And that's the right attitude, right? And he did. He went out and had some fun. And so now he keeps exploring more ways to help you guys get the subtle skills that go into being able to approach, to communicate, to listen, how not to take, and his big one is that he loves to talk about, we'll get him to talk about today, is rejection, maybe. Today or this weekend, is so many of you guys self-reject. And because she's getting a little nervous because you walked up, here's a guy walking up saying hi, and she's just like you, she gets nervous. Oh, what's this guy want? You take it as rejection and run away. Oh, she's looking at me funny, I'm gone. Oh, she pulled back a little bit, I'm gone. And that doesn't necessarily mean she doesn't like you. And he's been talking a lot about understanding that difference and when she really wants you to leave versus when she's just a little nervous or getting comfortable or shy. And if you just stay in there a little longer, she'll warm up to you. So he's got good insights on that, right? So have him talk about that. He's got a lot of good stuff. And I always remind him, he loves this, that he did run home that first Saturday night that he worked with us because he was scared to approach any girls. And we took him to a bar and we couldn't find him. And then we found out he went home because he didn't want to approach a girl and he was going to quit, never come back. And we would have never seen him again. But he grew some balls the next morning and came back anyways. And then committed ever since. So that's a huge, huge shift in your reality. Anybody have an experience like that? A shift like that? It's pretty big because then he became an approach machine. So Anthony's in a relationship now because of all that, and with a girl that treats him really well. So there's so many pluses that have come from this for his life. So I'm going to have him come on up and take over the show. And now that I bragged about him enough, give him a round of applause, everybody. I should have had you miking up while I was rambling.
Sure.
But I forgot. I didn't. You probably don't need this chair.
No, I don't need it. We're all right.
Put this over here.
Yeah.
So take it away, Maestro.
All right. What's going on, guys? All right. I love that story he was talking about when I had just a bunch of change and how responsible it was for me to be out there chasing girls when I didn't have any money. But I was super hungry. I remember at the time I was super hungry, man, because for a very long time, that's all I wanted to learn how to do was how do you approach, how do you figure out this thing? And I remember when it first started, the first time I ever saw a guy approach a girl, my body just cringed. I was like, oh, you're not supposed to go talk to a stranger like that. And kind of going from there to where I am now, it's kind of completely 180, So I remember going out there taking all Brian's teachings. You guys have taken the experience workshop, know a little bit about what that process is like, working with the models, getting rid of all your anxieties, and taking all that stuff out into the field and meeting strangers with it. This was very nerve-wracking. It was very frustrating. I was talking to, I think Jonathan the other day about this, was like, you got to face all your demons when you're out there, right? Especially when you're approaching, especially how you feel about yourself. All that shit that you don't want to feel about yourself comes up because as soon as somebody rejects you, your default is going to be to go to the stories about yourself that are like, oh yeah, she's right. I do suck, or whatever negative beliefs you have about yourself, you quickly attach them like that. And you swear that they're the truth. And so it's like being out in the battlefield, man. But instead you're going through your own war, your own inner war. So needless to say, I hated it, but I loved it because I knew that I knew that this was the route to getting the girls that I wanted. And I wanted it bad. So a little bit of desperation and neediness, which killed a lot of my interactions earlier on, especially. So yeah, man, I was super hungry. Like I quit my job at the library and I didn't have any money coming in whatsoever. I think what I was doing at the time was I was teaching people how to drive a stick and I was charging them very, very cheap, like $50 for an hour, something like that. But I just needed enough money to get back out there. I just needed enough money for the parking meter. So I'll kind of run it back and just tell my story. And tomorrow I'll teach you guys more about approaching, especially about worthiness. I've been thinking about that this weekend. And I feel like a talk on worthiness will really help you guys get to the next level when it comes to your approaches or just how are you showing up in front of strange women? Strangers, which women are strange. We're all strange, right? So let's take it back to that time where I dipped out of the bungalow because I was too scared, because that was my first time ever being in an environment with, let's say, these people, they seem way higher quality than I was, right? So this was obviously a worthiness issue. And that's kind of why I want to talk about that tomorrow. So I'll go into this bar with these guys. We used to do that on a Saturday night. We don't do it anymore in the experience because a lot of guys just end up standing on the wall and it's just a lot of work. And so as soon as I get into the environment, I'm like, wait, these people are upscale. And they're really not. In hindsight, they're just regular as fuck, right? But to me at that time, my worthiness was so low. I was like, wait, these people were like way up there. I can't talk to any of these girls. They dress too well. The guys dress too well. And so I was in there and I just felt like just super less than. I was like, this sucks. And so one of the guys who had actually taken Fearless already, he was like, hey, I'll take you into an interaction. Just come with me. And so he took me into an interaction with these two Asian girls, and they were UCLA girls, which are college educated girls, and I wasn't a college educated person. And so all that worthiness shit started coming up. And so I'm sitting there, I'm talking to her, I'm asking her basic questions like, hey, where are you from? So how do you like the school? What are you studying? And none of it was landing. It was just crash and crash. And I asked like 4 or 5 questions. And she was like, or a friend came and got her. Actually, she was like, no. She was like, I'm gonna go to the restroom. And then she tapped on her friend. It was like, hey, she signaled to her and they got out of there. And I think I fucked up his interaction because his was going really well. He had the girl pinned up on the couch. She was enjoying him. And my girl took her and left. And I was just like, God, this fucking sucks. And so I think I did one more that night, and it really just brought the whole thing home. And it was like, okay, I'm not doing this shit anymore. I'm getting the fuck out of here. It doesn't work. Like, there's a reason it hasn't been working, and it's not working tonight. And so I'm leaving. So I left. And I was frustrated, and I was driving back home, and I was just fucking pissed off. And I was like, fuck. So I woke up the next morning, and I was like, it was that moment. It was like, okay, are you going to go back to the workshop, or are you just not going to go back to the workshop? They pay a lot of money to be here. And so I drugged my ass. I got in the car, and I got down there. And I had all this shame come up because I was like, I can't believe I fucking left. And everybody has to see me leave and kind of quit like a little failure. And so showed up anyway. And that ended up being like a very remarkable weekend because that episode at the little bar, that was shit. But when I went back to work that next Monday, that was different. Like girls were giving me way more attention than I ever had before. Just my ability to sustain a conversation for longer, it changed completely. So I was seeing all these little subtle things I had never seen before. And I was flirting more, I was laughing more, I was hitting on girls more. And so I was like, okay, something's changing. I don't know what it is, but this is different than it was a week ago. So anyways, I kept showing up doing the work. I kept showing up, kept going out with the guys in the group. I was going out by myself. I had to get over the story of going out by myself because that was also scary at the time too. But just little things here and there started working with the girls. It was like, first, girls weren't stopping at all. Then they started stopping, but they still weren't giving me shit. They weren't giving me numbers, something like that. Then at a certain point, they started giving me numbers, and I was like, okay, cool, this is going somewhere. And then they weren't replying to the text, and then they started replying to the text. So it was like a progression. But as this progression has happened, I'm starting to see the 1%. And I didn't know it at the time. I was just getting happy that certain things were moving. I was like, oh, I got a girl's number. She's not texting me back. And I was like, oh, fuck, it sucks. Oh, I got another girl's number. She's not texting me back. Then one might text back. But to me, that was enough. I was like, okay, cool, this is getting somewhere. So I kept at it over time. Then all of a sudden, girls would constantly text me back. I wasn't getting them to meet up and come over, but then that started to change too. They weren't wanting to hang out, and then they started wanting to hang out. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. So girls are starting to come out and show up now, and now sex is actually happening. And so, again, all this stuff was kind of shifting my reality. And so I kept showing up doing more work. I signed up for more workshops because I was just digging up a lot of the shit that was scaring me about women, or just about approaching girls on the street randomly. And so I always tell the story because this was like a really pivotal point in my sexuality, at least with women. Because up to that point, I felt like it was still kind of very much nice guy. I was still being very nice, and I was getting very lucky to get a girl's number. But I didn't feel like I had really stapled it in there. Like, I can get this girl's number. It was just like, I might get a girl's number. I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. So this is that point, and I was taking a 3-month workshop, and Brian had us on a call, and he was like, cool, where are you stuck at right now? And I was like, well, I'm getting girls' numbers, and but it's not really going anywhere. He was like, what are you telling them? I forget what I said, but he was just like, you're not being sexual. You're not creating any tension. You're not giving any value, really. And and I was like, okay. So he's like, here's what I want you to do. I want you to start to be more sexual. I want you to start to own your sexuality. Start telling girls that you want. He didn't say tell girls that you want to have sex with them, but he said something like, tell them how sexy you think they are. And I was just like my body froze. I was like, fuck, I had to do what? Okay. So I remember going to work the next day and I had a lunch break. So I went down to Whole Foods, which in LA, Whole Foods is like the super health store. And and so I seen a girl down the aisle and I thought she was sexy. She had these tight yoga pants on, and guys, men were crazy about girls in yoga pants because it shows all their curves. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go in there and do this. But I had like teetered around the aisle for a little bit before I went in. I did a little creepy. I was like, okay, I'm going to go in there and do this. But I was sitting there and thinking about it. I was like, fuck, security guards in there, shit. so basically all I was doing was making myself more nervous. So I eventually went in there. She's reaching up on the aisle for something. She's reaching up on the shelf for something. And I'm like, hey, you look super sexy in those yoga pants. And as I said it, I could feel myself leave my body. like I just vacated my body. And she came down from whatever she was grabbing. She took the compliment really well. She was like, oh, thank you, that was so sweet, da da da. And I'm just like, still kind of disassociated from my body. But I'm just like, oh, she took that well. And I didn't have anything else to come back with after that, so I fucking left. And we were leaving the store. I got in front of the store. I got out the doors, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, what the fuck? It makes no sense how that works. Because I hadn't fully owned the sexual part of me, and I was just kind of like, I thought that was creepy. I thought she was going to call security. I thought somebody was going to be yelled at. I thought I was going to get in trouble. Like, childhood stuff. So, it's funny to think about that to where I am now, man. I've said some very raunchy things in my day now. And it's kind of cool because I love when guys are always like, what do I say? What do I say? And I'm just like, you can literally say anything. It's all about your energy when you say it. And so it's never about what you say, actually. So fast forward a little bit. I took more work with Brian. I did more workshops. I did that 3-month workshop really propelled me because I was having dates at the library. Like I meet a girl at the library, I have a date with her after I got off work. It happened a bunch. I was still kind of tanking myself because I was very needy and I was just like, it's got to get the sex. We got to get the sex right away. Got to get the sex right away. So I was doing the, in the pickup community, they say when you're, uncalibrated. It was always uncalibrated, but I was getting the dates. It's just that when we were on the dates, I'm like in my head, I'm like, okay, all right, how do I get this to sex? And I grab her hand, and she might be like, what the fuck? Because I was in my head about the shit. It wasn't smooth. And so I just needed more time in. I didn't know it at the time, but I was getting very frustrated with it. And I remember being online looking at RSD videos like, these guys are killing it. These guys are killing it. How do they do this shit? How do they do this shit? And I was like, Brian's way of teaching is very slow. It's not happening. It's not happening. And so that was a whole part of it, not realizing that I had to work out my own kinks in order to make it happen like that. And actually, everything that Brian was teaching was actually 100% true, which I came to realize when I got better at approaching, that almost every situation that I got better at or every level that I leveled up to, I can always think back on something that Brian said would happen. And it'd be like, oh, Brian said that was going to happen. What the fuck? And it was just like that. And I was like, okay, that's how I know what he's teaching is true. And so I kept at it. And then it got easier over time. So I went ahead, I did more work with him. I did the week long in Bucharest. I did it twice. Came back to LA, was killing it. So the portion of the time where he's talking about where I didn't have any money when I quit my job and I just went out and approach every day was because I was just really in desperation. I was like, yeah, I really want to fucking fix this thing. Because when I was in Bucharest, I was having success. But I also had the story when I was in Bucharest that I'm black and the girls are European, so it's actually really easy and it's actually cheating. And so when I came back to LA, I was like, I want LA girls because I feel like this is a real test. Can I actually get girls in LA? And so I had gone out for like maybe 2 weeks straight. The first 3 days I was chicken shit. I wanted to go home. I wanted to call it quits because nothing was going my way. I was getting rejected left and right. Something happened on that third night or that fourth day where it was the same thing. I was seeing some kind of leveling up happening. I was like, I didn't know what it was, but something was happening. And I think I made out with this girl in the alleyway outside of a bar. And I was like, okay, cool, I'm coming out tomorrow then too, because it was going so well. And so the next day I came out, I was walking down the street, I'd seen this older lady. She must have been somewhere like in maybe her late 40s, but she was really cute. And I was like, it was 4th of July actually, and I was like, let me get over there and just talk to her. So I get over there, I was just small talking. I was like, hey, do you know where this is, X, Y, and Z? I was doing some indirects. She was like, oh, no, I'm not from here, I'm from Texas. I'm here to see my kid is enrolled in UCLA. I came here to support her, da, da, da. So we started chatting it up and we started walking. And so I walk her probably about a mile or two down to where all the shops are. And we're chatting it up. I'm flirting a little bit. I'm trying to practice everything that Brian taught. And so when we get to the shopping mall, she's like, okay, what are you up to later? And I'm like, I don't know, but give me your number. So I get her number, and I have it in my pocket. So in my head, I was like, cool, sex is going to happen later. I'm going to have sex with this lady later. And so I stayed out that day, and I met a couple of girls. So this is the day I had like 4 or 5 Insta-dates. I had met this really cute girl, and she had taken me to like the aquarium. We were going to like Starbucks and all this stuff. We're chit-chatting. Of course, I sabotaged that one, but it was an Insta-date. It's technically an Insta-date until I sabotaged it. Had another Insta-date that day with a girl who was British wearing a bikini, and I saw her, and I was kind of still practicing that sexuality thing where it's like, just walk up and be very honest. And so I walked up to her, and I told her, I was like, you look super sexy in that bikini, or something to that effect, but it had a tinge of something else to it. And she just kind of lit up and smiled, and we started walking down the path. And probably 10 minutes later, we're like sitting at this, I don't know if it's a gazebo, but it's overlooking the water and all this stuff. And I'm like rubbing her legs, and I'm putting my hand right here, and she's totally with it. I reach over and I kiss her. And I remember after that date was done, I was like in the Facebook group, and you guys can go back in the Facebook group and look for this post. I'm like, hey, I just met this girl. I was touching her vagina. I was doing all this stuff, we were making out, because I was so happy. I was like, I don't know what changed. It was like day 4, with just everything just fucking lit up. And again, I had a couple more dates that day, but every single day since then, for like the next week and a half, I noticed girls they were looking at me, they were peeping me out, girls were hitting on me more, and I just couldn't understand what was going on. I think what was happening was I was just getting more relaxed, more confident in that environment. You know, I was actually looking at people for once, and I was actually seeing things before, whereas before I was kind of sheepish, kind of apologetic, kind of really scared to be out there. So that's how I got really, I'll say that's a pivotal point as to how I got really, I don't say good at approaching, but way more comfortable with just stopping girls and talking to them. Which in turn I found later that, Brian always says, approaching is really just as easy as saying hi. So when we get into our head and we're like, what do I say? What am I supposed to do? What do I say? It's never about that. It's literally you can walk into a girl and say hi and have that turn into sex or relationship or anything. It's all about how do you feel in your body in that circumstance, right? So it started to get to that point where it was like, one day I realized that just hi was working. It was simple. It was like, hey, how you doing? How's your day going? And what I started to notice again, it was just the energy. So I can say hi to a girl, and how's her energy in response to how I'm saying hi? And it was like, hi, how are you doing? Oh, my day's going good. How about you? And it's like, boom, boom. There goes something right there, right? And that might turn into a 5-minute interaction where I get a number. It can go anywhere, right? So that's kind of like the basis of everything that I put in the Fearless videos. I'm like, guys, it's not hard. It's like, it's not difficult. Just do this. Get the energy right. Get your energy right. Get your energy right. Get your energy right. Because that's all it takes. And a lot of times you can just give eye contact and you don't really need to say anything at all. Right? How many of you guys experience that? Who do approach? Right? So it's actually doing less that gets you more at the end of the day. But sure, you got to go through those hoops of being like, getting past your demons, getting past your stories, to be able to put yourself in those environments in the first place where you don't feel like you're freaking out. And then you can start to really see that stuff, because you can't see it if you're freaking out. You know what I mean? So that was a little scattered, but how much time we got left? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, it was a little bit unorganized. I just found out I was speaking today at 5 o'clock anyway, so any questions while I'm speaking that you guys might have about approaching in general, dating, the progression?
What's it like for you being up there right now?
Oh, nervous. Yeah, nerve-wracking. But it's kind of fun at the same time, too.
That's courage. When it's fun and you're nervous fun, it's courage. Right?
Yeah.
And that's causing me to grow. But you guys notice a difference in Anthony?
Yeah.
How much bigger is his energy? How much more expressive? How much more open is he?
How do you see his eyes?
Yeah.
There you go. I worked on that.
Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted you guys to notice that difference. These guys, the coaches, all do the work on a regular basis.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's pretty much everything, So in any area of life, it's always just an implementation of all the principles. And it's not like you do them consciously, you do them unconsciously. I'll say the one thing I work on mostly anything is just grounding. That's usually most of it. But any more questions about anything?
How would
Yeah, like
How do you describe what?
grounding. Yeah, feeling your feet, feeling your legs, watching that energy as it's rising up in your body, just literally watching it, watch what it does. When you have a good grasp on the pattern that your energy normally takes, you can see it like, oh, I see it, it's coming up right now, and just let it drop because you don't get attached to or averse to it. Because when you have an aversion to, it, you're like, oh, I gotta get rid of this. And so instead of being like, let me get rid of it, it's like, okay, I know it's coming up. Let me not acknowledge it. It just comes right back down to my feet. So I don't freak out about it anymore. Where I used to really get freaked out about it. How do I get rid of this? What did Brian say? You know? So
Hey, Anthony, I got a question for you.
go for it.
Do you have a distinction in your experience between the energy that you relax and goes down, you let it go down, and the energy that goes up, that actually does go up, that you want to let go up?
Yeah, sure.
How do you describe that?
Yeah, it's kind of like Jonathan asked me this one time. He's like, what do you do with the nervousness when you're in your interactions? And I was like, I can feel the energy coming up, and I was like, I'll just smile at it because actually sometimes it actually feels kind of good. Because I think what it does is I don't know what the word is, but if I'm talking to a girl and my energy is rising up, I kind of just smile at it because there's a sincerity in it. It's like, yeah, I am really fucking nervous. So like, I kind of just own it in a way. And I think that's what works for me in a lot of the cases where I'm just freaking out. Or I wouldn't say freaking out, but I feel energy rising, kind of like out of my control.
Yeah, so there's your grounding energy that you want to go down and relax all the way down to here. And then there's expressive energy, which you guys tend to hold down that you want to let go up. So you got to make both go in the opposite direction of what you're making.
That's very true. I didn't think about it like that. That's true.
Simple.
Yeah.
Reverse of it.
Yeah.
You notice that difference?
Yeah, sure. It's tricky too, right? Because you can get caught when the energy comes up and you're just stuck in the thing and you're just like that guy, you know, the fucking woo, like that. Versus like, okay, it's coming up. All right, relax it now. Relax, let it come down.
And that actually sets the other body free to fully express itself.
Yeah, it does.
And then suddenly you have all this energy up here. And what I see, the reason I ask that question is a lot of you guys go, oh, I'm not supposed to feel, all the energy's supposed to go down, you numb yourselves out, and then you have no expression. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not what I said. So,
Yeah, very true. Go for it.
I know I'm asking a lot of questions.
That's all right.
Feeling self-conscious about that, but that's okay. Have you experimented with breathing around
Yeah, sure.
Have you experienced or have you played with breathing to ground yourself at all, or is it more just in your body?
Yeah, I've done breathing before. I do it periodically. Not always very consciously, you know. Like I don't make it a practice to do it. But if I'm sitting there sometimes and it comes to mind to think about doing it, yeah, sure, I'll do it. But there's other ways to do it. Like when you've practiced your grounding long enough, I don't think you think about breathing or any of the practices. You just naturally come down. Like you know that state is like you've been there so much that you know just in a split second you're just gonna drop back to your body, so you don't stress it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I want to know whether you play with breathing or not, and you answered that perfectly.
So, hang on one second here. You had a question?
Yeah, we got 2 questions on Zoom.
Okay, go for it.
So the first one is, I struggle a lot with sexual tension. In particular, I feel an enormous amount of resistance when I look at a girl and want to tell her I think she's sexy. Does anything have any advice?
Yeah. Yeah, so he's feeling an enormous amount of tension when it comes to telling a girl that he thinks she's sexy?
Yeah. That's the idea of telling her she's sexy.
Okay. Yeah, it's an interesting one because I want to just say, just do it and see how it works out. But it does take a lot of courage just to get close enough to do it sometimes. So the truth is, sometimes you got to start small. You know, maybe it's not saying that thing as boldly as that, and maybe it's just saying something that's a little bit less tension, but just getting yourself over there. Now, the way I did that at the Whole Foods was that I just went into it immediately, and I had the realizations after the fact. So if you can get yourself to just do it, and you can tolerate the emotions that you're going to experience after, then just do it. You know, it's not going to get any easier because if you don't do it.
The other one is, how do you choose what to say after you say hi and sustain the conversation?
Yeah, how do I choose what to say after I say hi? I literally don't think about what to say after I say hi. Like I'm usually going off the other person's energy for the most part. Like if I say hi and the girl is closed off, I might say a few more things to see if I can get her open. If she doesn't, I just let it go. But if I say hi normally, usually a girl would just open up and then I'll just go with what I feel like, but also what the interaction feels like. Like, I don't know, let me give an example. If a girl's, I say hi to a girl over here coming in for on break, And I ran over to her and I was like, hey, I'm sorry, I saw you. I was like, I just want to say, I thought you were cute. She was with her friend. And she started giggling. And like that type of energy, I'm like, okay, cool. She's open to talk. I'm like, cool, what are you up to? What are you girls doing? What are you guys up to? And it's just simple, basic stuff, you know what I mean? Or I would just lock eyes with her and drop in and kind of ground myself and have a conversation, just see where it goes. Yeah, because I don't know the words. I don't know what the interaction is going to be like. It's just, I know when I get there. And that kind of leads to everything. And it can be very basic stuff, but how am I feeling in my body is the most important thing. Yeah. You got a question?
Yeah, so I'm assuming there was a point in time when you went from like having to date girls to being more direct if you want
Sure.
to have one night stand, right?
Mhm.
Is there a progression there?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And then in that progression, what would you say changed, not just from what you were doing, but how you felt inside?
Yeah, damn, that's a good question, man. How I felt inside, it's probably that it's okay if she says no. Like, if I put that energy out there and I put that offer out there, where it's like, you're sexy, or I might be flirting with her on set, you're super sexy, you're like, what are you up to right now? I got like standing over here, X, Y, and Z, say I see something like that. And just realizing that if it's a no, I don't take it harsh. I'm like, okay, it's cool. It's just not going to kill me because I asked it, because I offered it, you know. And it's also, the shift was also that I think that sex is very normal. And it's almost an expectation that if I'm talking to you, there's a sense that I want sex anyway. So I think that's something that shifted inside.
So you were very direct. It wasn't like, let's go get some drinks. You're like, hey, I'm standing over here and you're sexy.
And it just depends on the environment too, man. You know, like if it's a bar or club, I feel like that kind of already elicits that energy in a way. You know, so if I go in there and I'm feeling that vibe, or I'm feeling like that's what I'm feeling, then yeah, I'll shoot it. You know, but it's not always that. It's very much, again, how I'm feeling, but also how the environment's feeling too. I don't want to go into an environment that's not like that and to be in there being super raunchy and dirty and shit, you know? Yeah. I guess you could do that, but you just kind of got to know your environment, really. Yeah. You had a question?
Yeah, I was curious about how direct, like, how direct can you take it? Like, you know, of course, going up to a woman and saying she's sexy.
Mm-hmm.
But going up to one and saying, let's go back to my place, or something more direct, let's go have sex. How much of this?
Yeah, like I've never told a girl I want to F you, I want to fuck you, let's get out of here. Like nothing like that, nothing super absurd. But it might be something like your ass is super sexy in those pants, like, or, you know, something alluding to something more physical. I'm sure you could do that too. If the energy is right and you're feeling it and you're turned on and you're also in flow, you might get away with just saying something like that. She might just giggle and get more curious about you, you know, or might just laugh it off, who knows?
It's normally said that it's better to compliment a woman not on her natural characteristics, but like what she did, her outfit, or, you know, color coordination.
Yeah, last one.
Directly, is that a story in the sense that if you're really in your turn on, you can get away with saying your ass looks great, you compliment direct physical features?
Sure. Yeah, for sure. Because you got to imagine if your energy is very creepy, the girl's gonna pull away and be like, "What the fuck? It's so hot." But you've seen smooth people. Think about like Will Smith, for instance, like in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He could probably get away with some shit like that, right? Energetically, because he's funny. He's got light energy about it. He's not averse to it. He's not being creepy in his energy. He's just really light. It's the same deal. If I were to say something like that to a girl, I can see her just laughing and slapping me on the shoulder or something like that. And I'm like, what? You said what? I'm like, yeah, no, that's what I'm feeling right now. And just owning it and not wavering from it, right? Because then that's where the tension starts. That's when the game plays. That's when the game starts. You know, once you already took it there, so she knows your approach is already kind of very sexual, so you're not hiding that. Now, they're sure they may need to take some rapport building, a little bit more conversation to get it to go there, because it's not going to happen like that, probably. But still, put that out there. Put that out there. Even if it's just to challenge yourself and open yourself up more to it, because you don't want to do it where you're just like beating around the bush and not ever getting to that. It wastes his time.
Does the directness only work if you establish that sexual tension, like with the eyes, or can you get away with it without even establishing any kind of tension?
That's a good question. Again, they're constantly going off your energy. Or how do you feel when you say it? Is how they're responding to it. Do you feel light when you say it, or do you feel like, you know, this, you're super in your turn on, you're super creepy about it, or it's like, hey, I want that ass, girl. Like that could be very like, you know, yeah. But or you walk in like, yo, that fucking bikini is super sexy. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, you feel that, right? That's got a whole lot. It's got a sincerity in it as well. But it's also not like I'm not going to jump out, reach out, and grab you. Like I'm admiring it. So the difference in that is, again, do you feel light or do you feel weird? And the eye contact definitely does help, right? Because they can feel the sincerity in your eyes. Is your heart open when you do it too? That's a huge part about it. Is your heart open, or are you just being very physical and coming straight from that only turn on energy? That can be very predatory. No. Go. All right, go for it. Hey, one more. Go for it.
So, do you have a set routine, like how much time a day you set aside to doing your own personal work?
No. But when I did go out that whole 2 weeks, it was just like 12-hour days sometimes, man. Like I'd go out from 10 o'clock in the morning, and I might be out there to 12 o'clock at night because I'd be out on the strip where all the stores are in the mall. And then I'd probably find my way into a bar right after that and be out there until 12 or 1 sometimes. So I think just that period of time of being out there for so long, you hit a place where you're like, oh, okay, you normalize a lot of it in that you don't even have to think about it or spend a whole bunch of time going out anymore doing it. It's like you might just walk into a coffee bean or you might walk into this hotel and you just like find yourself talking to girls all of a sudden because you've desensitized yourself to it. Yeah. I think it's the last question.
So when Brian advised you to bring your sexuality to your approaches, how did that progression go? I mean, you gave an example of the whole foods approach,
Yeah.
but how did the progression? Did you lose dates because now you got something else?
Yeah, that's a good question. Huh?
Can you repeat that question?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so he was asking me that what was the progression like since Brian told me to go out and be a little bit more sexual in my interactions. Did I, what were you asking? You're asking if I went down? Oh, did I lose girls because I was being a little bit more too sexual? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Because again, sometimes it was that uncalibratedness where I was just like being a little bit too much and not realizing it. And so what happened was doing it over time, it just smoothed out. Like I got it. I started to understand it. I was like, okay. It's like you don't just do it, you have to feel it. And maybe a lot of times I was doing it from the head. And when I actually started feeling it in my body, I was like, oh, this is what sticks. This is what glues it together is the fact that I'm actually feeling it. Like I was telling him earlier, it's like the only difference is your energy in it. If you're actually truly feeling it, it's coming across. But if you're actually just doing it as a routine or a technique, it's not gonna land. It's gonna come off creepy. Something's gonna be off in it. She's gonna feel it. Yep.
So I'm going to say something, all of you, most likely, most of you to all of you will lose a girl you really, really like, or many girls you really, really like while you're figuring this out. So just accept it now.
So true.
Just get the fuck over it. It's going to happen. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you, Anthony.
Yeah,
Round of applause.